The ongoing strike by primary school teachers in Abuja, the Federal Capital Territory, has significant implications for pupils, parents, and the education system as a whole. Education experts say the strike, in its third month, could have lasting effect on pupils' educational outcomes, potentially impacting their future career prospect. They say the handling of the strike by the relevant authorities may set a precedent for future labor disputes and education policy.
These are children covering the early stages of learning, and things would never really be the same. I'm not sure all of the teachers will return. In the course of the strike, some of them may take to other jobs. Let's not forget that strikes are the last resort, especially of civil servants in any organizations. For the children, that's where our concerns lie. Others are learning, you're not learning. Okay, they are already, public school children in Nigeria, for starters, are already disadvantaged. With growing trends of learning, they suffer a lot of, shutdowns, they suffer a lot of setbacks. And to worsen things, now others are learning, especially in the private schools. And even other parts of the country, what happens to the curriculum? What happens to delivering the curriculum for them? Okay, and so by the time they resume, it's the end of third term already. They have to probably move on to other classes. Some in primary 6 should have written their common entrance exams already, and they're going to secondary schools to start a new life. It's part of the curriculum to go through first term, second term, and third term learning, because every term has its own component of learning outcomes.
Well, joining us to discuss the implications of the 3-month closure of primary schools in the Federal Capital Territory by teachers is Professor Andrew Haruna, who is the Secretary General, Committee of Vice Chancellors of Nigerian Universities, and the current Pro-Chancellor, Begum University, Karo, Nasarawa State. Thank you so much for joining us, Professor, on the news tonight.
Thank you.
So as we do understand it, this is in the public primary schools, not the private schools, as usual. You always find these things with the government-run schools, which is pathetic. But I have to ask you, as someone who has molded lives at the tertiary level of education, what are the implications when you hear that children at the foundational molding stage of life and learning have been home for 3 months?
Well, I'm happy you mentioned that someone describing me as someone who has molded the minds of youth or Nigerian citizens at the tertiary level.
Yes.
I couldn't have been there without a good foundation. That is the most critical thing. First of all, there is a contract between the teachers and whoever their employers is or was. Unfortunately, the fact that there is a strike going on, it means trust has been broken. And you cannot run a system where you suspect each other, where you constantly break the terms of agreement with which you have agreed with your employee. That is number one. And once you do that, not only at the level of the employee, now talking about the children, it affects their academic progress, it affects their emotional well-being, and again, even their future prospects. Then this can lead to lack of motivation in even studying. What is the point of going to school if I cannot study? Now we have pool or bees of almajiris on the streets, something which we never saw before. This is one of the causes of bringing these young children of ours, I like to give myself as an example, okay? Because of the quality of education I receive at the foundation level.
Yeah.
That's what brought me where I am. I was telling your colleague a moment ago, I started my life my career as a shoeshine boy. The only difference between Professor Andrew Haruna and the young boy on the street is just because I went to school. Now, if I had not had the privilege or the opportunity to be in school early enough, I could have ended up a vagabond. Now, these children, we are trying to put something in their minds to not even value education. Now, to me, I find that anybody who entered an agreement with the teachers and he's not meeting up this responsibility, I think he's creating lack of trust. Okay. As a matter of fact, if you give education to a Nigerian citizen, you have not done anything special. It's their right that they ought to have education. So we got to understand this. Secondly, there's delay in graduation. Okay. Okay, if they are to spend 6 years, now you have kept them for 10 years. For what reason? Do you think these children will ever respect you? So the fact that either the local government or whoever has created this scenario that the teachers are out of the classroom, you have created a situation of suspicion between you and the children you are breeding. And as long as they don't go to school, we are breeding fools and vagabonds who will become our leaders tomorrow. Because you cannot reap where you have not sown. And the reaping and the foundation of sowing is in the primary schools. Second thing, the teachers, there's economic implication. Okay. Suddenly you have a teacher who cannot even talk to his family. His children are at home, they don't understand why, and some other children are in school. You have created two levels in the society. And these two sets, whether those in private and those in public schools, you have created enemies. Because they are operating in the same environment. So why do you want to create this kind of levels in the environment? Now, it creates a lot of stress and anxiety in these small children. When you talk of social vices, why should children be at home today when their colleagues are in school? Boredom sets in. The next thing they will find something to do, and an empty... The
idle mind.
Good, you have said it right. Then there is total decline in our moral values, which means we, the adult community, cannot be able to sustain what we have brought to the world. These children did not bring themselves to this world. We brought them into this world. And then there is a government in place. So what are you telling them?
Great. You know, you've highlighted so many problems, but I think at the heart of it, what I pick out is that this is a problem we must all fix.
Absolutely.
We should not ignore it because they are not our kids. Yeah. You know, we all would reap from the consequences of allowing them out of school.
We are reaping it
already. But I have to ask you, because as we also understand from our correspondent, Juliet Obata, who's been following this story, from the people she's spoken to, the teachers as well, this is not the first time. In fact, this is the third session, and they've missed the third session. So it almost means like a full calendar year has been lost. As someone who is in the education system, can the learning of this period be ever recovered by these children? And when you bear in mind that schools, primary schools in the 36 states are functioning. This is just happening in the FCT. Can they catch up? Can they ever recover those study time?
It is unfortunate that it is happening in the FCT because everybody wants to be in Abuja. So what is the FCT local government authority showing to the rest of the country? What you lose, if you lose time, you never regain time. You can only claim that you have done something. It's impossible. If yesterday is gone, it is gone forever. And these children are growing. If they are growing and they have lost time, there is a curriculum. They are to follow it step by step. Reading and learning is not parrot learning. You have to assimilate and digest it, not just running through. I come from the university, and you have had a lot of the implication of strikes in the university system. It has turned our university system not to be attractive. So these primary schools are where we get the children who go to university. So if the foundation is wrong at the primary school level, then don't blame professors at the university, or don't blame even the teachers at the secondary school level, because what should be done at the foundation has not been done. And parents also should hold government responsible, because many parents spend all their time looking and chasing money to pay their school fees, and they don't pay attention of what goes on their children. They have turned even the teachers to be their nannies, or where we dump them and then they are like daycare.
But in this particular situation, you wonder what the parents can really do other than withdraw their kids and then look for the money to take them to the
they should challenge. No, they should challenge the authorities. They should challenge the authorities.
Challenge the authorities.
Yes, they are. Because they pay taxes.
Indeed.
They should challenge the authorities. The children are helpless. Those who know their rights are the parents. The local government chairman went out doing campaign to say, vote me, I will do A, B, C, D for you. Why is he not fulfilling the campaign promises?
At the heart of this is the 6 local council chairmen of the FCTA. From the university level, I mean, how much of this crisis are we seeing at the end point of the university? In other words, we talk about the quality of graduates we're churning out and the unemployable graduates that are increasing in Nigeria. Is this a factor? Is this,
very much it's a factor.
A likely factor to what we're seeing there?
It's not even a likely factor, it's a factor. If a house is not built on a solid foundation, do you expect the house to stand? So let's not be playing semantics here. This is the foundation of our problem. We have not provided education to these children, and we expect them to come and lead us tomorrow, or we expect them to become the best of scientists in our society. Where on earth has this ever happened? The lifestyle of your society depends on the kind of education you give to your children, because they are the future of tomorrow. Without having a good foundation, then the future will be bad. That is just the crux of the matter.
And I think that's a fine place to leave it. Thank you so much. We do appreciate your time on the news tonight.
Thank you.
Professor Andrew Haruna.
Thank you very much
for being here.
I appreciate it. Thank you.